Welcome to Xhibition, an Xbox podcast, episode number 72. My name is Samuel Adams, and on today's show we are talking about the profitability of Xbox Game Pass, because we have some new figures that show just how much money Microsoft has made on the service as of January 2021. We also have to discuss CD Projekt Red's future development plans, because some new outlines have been laid out, and there is a ton of content on the way. 5 iconic Xbox franchises are also celebrating some big anniversaries, and we have a new Xbox Series X mini fridge available now for a very good deal. I'm talking $55 versus the $100 whenever the original launched. Very cool stuff there, but could it hold up over time? We'll talk about that and more on today's show. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into it. Brazil has officially approved Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard. This was a very big story last week, and on top of that, they approved the deal with no concessions. They have no concerns, and they went on to say that their job as a regulatory body is to protect Brazilian consumers. It is not to protect the interest of Microsoft. It is not to protect the interest of Sony or another competitor. It is to protect the consumers. That was a very powerful statement. And this is important because over the past few weeks, a lot of people have been looking at the EU investigation into Microsoft and saying it seems like it's siding more with Sony, where they are seeming to protect Sony. And I don't necessarily think that's the case. I would like to assume that all of these regulatory bodies are simply focused on protecting consumers because that's what they are there to do. That could be something that is wrong of me to assume, but I would hope that is the case. So time will tell what happens in Europe, but out of the Brazilian investigation, we got a very interesting figure as reported on by Tweaktown, and that is that as of January 2021, Microsoft's Xbox Game Pass service had generated $2.9 billion in revenue for that period of time. I want to read from Windows Central's coverage of this news, where they say, according to Brazil's regulatory body CADE, Xbox Game Pass's revenue from subscriptions stands at $2.9 billion in the fiscal period ending January 2021. Tweakdown noted that it accounts for 18% of Microsoft's revenue from gaming for that fiscal year, which would have put Xbox Game Pass subscribers at around the 18 to 19 million mark. The last official figure we got on Xbox Game Pass subscribers came last January, where Redmond revealed it had hit 25 million users. It should be noted, however, that this figure only includes users on the console versions of Xbox Game Pass, with PC Game Pass figures omitted. It's also hard to know the exact breakdown of this revenue figure. Does it include purchases of games in the post-Game Pass discount period? Does it include microtransactional sales and in-game content sales for titles that are in Xbox Game Pass? Or is it representative purely of the subscriber figures across Xbox Game Pass and Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which are $10 and $15 a piece? So that statement from Jez Gordon at Windows Central poses a great question. $2.9 billion. That is a significant amount of money, but in comparison to the rest of Microsoft, it's a relatively small amount of money. But in the gaming section, the Xbox side, 18% of revenue came from Xbox Game Pass, according to this report. That is not a small figure. That shows some significant investment from their gaming community. But the other question is, what exactly does this number represent? Is it just subscribers? Is it what people are purchasing while their subscription is active? What exactly is included in this figure? And so the point that I want to make is that Phil Spencer has said this is profitable. He has come out and said this is working for Team Xbox, and they will continue to grow Game Pass because it is working financially for Team Xbox and strategically, I would argue. But I would also say that the majority of people that are talking about this, including myself here on this podcast, are novice gaming enthusiasts. We love Xbox if you're talking about this, or if you're talking about it from the other perspective, you might not like Team Xbox, which is fine. But my point is that there are very few financial experts, legal experts in this field that are discussing this on podcast. And so take what you hear with a grain of salt. I'm just objectively looking at this and saying $2.9 billion is a lot of money, and that's a figure that works for Microsoft. But a lot of other people are arguing the long-term financial stability of the service, and be careful who you listen to, because not everybody is a financial aficionado. I know that I certainly am not. I'm just giving an objective view of what's happening here. Either way, it's nice to see Brazil has approved the deal. I personally still think that Activision is going to be owned by Microsoft by the middle of 2023, and I do think that the industry is going to be better off for it. I think that employees of Activision Blizzard are going to be better off for it. I think the games in the long run from Activision Blizzard are going to be better off for it. I hope these dormant IP get some new leases on life. That's what I would love to see. But when it comes to Xbox Game Pass, it's at the center of it all. It is at the center of Xbox's strategy. I would say that Activision Blizzard being acquired is related to the success and the long-term sustainability of Xbox Game Pass. Once again, let's say in 3 to 4 years, Call of Duty does become an Xbox exclusive. Being able to loop that into Game Pass immediately makes that a must-have for people, especially as we look to the next generation of consoles, or as we look to the next iteration of cloud gaming. Whatever the next step, the next leap in gaming looks like, being able to have a subscription that includes everything that you need ready and waiting for you. I mean, let's say EA Play expands a little bit and you get day one releases that aren't just the trial. Let's say that is something that happens. So there you have your Maddens, your sports games. That's a big deal. Then with the Activision Blizzard acquisition, you have your Overwatches, you have, which of course is free to play now, but you have your Call of Duties, all of the Activision Blizzard stuff baked into Xbox Game Pass. For the majority of players that are just out there playing the annualized releases with your NBA 2Ks, that kind of thing, you're ready to rock. You're ready to go. You've got what you need. Madden is in there. Call of Duty's in there. Battlefield is in there. You're good. And that is what Microsoft wants to do. They want to have a one-stop monthly subscription that gives you everything you need. And I think that the Activision Blizzard acquisition is making that a reality, or it's making that closer to being a reality than it ever has been before. So time will tell. Again, the experts I've heard are predicting June 2023 for this to close. Personally, I've seen Mr. Badbit on the timeline talking about it. I've seen a ton of people in the carpool gaming kind of community, which has sprung up and I've become a part of. Everybody's ready for this deal to be done because we're tired of talking about it. We're tired of talking about the validity of the purchase, the necessity of the purchase. I just ready. See, I can't even talk in English. I'm just ready for it to be done. Let's get back to talking about the games. Let's get back to talking about how good the next round of Activision Blizzard games will be. Let's get back to talking about improving working conditions at Activision Blizzard and getting Bobby Kotick out of there. I think that's what we need to be focused on, not the nickel and diming, who owns what. Just get it over with. That's my 2 cents. CD Projekt Red has been working very hard to right the wrongs of Cyberpunk 2077. When that game launched, it was in a horrendous state to the point that a lot of people boycotted the game. It changed the PlayStation Network's policy on refunds. Xbox had been giving refunds. It was a monumental, colossal failure of a launch. But, as we talked about on last week's show, they have now sold 20 million copies of the game. With the recent launch of Cyberpunk Edgerunners on Netflix, a Cyberpunk Edgerunners update came to the game that won a ton of goodwill from players, and generally speaking, people are saying now is the time to dive back in. Now is the time to check out Cyberpunk 2077. And so CD Projekt Red, while they have not regained all of the goodwill earned during the Witcher 3 Wild Hunt's life cycle, I think they are well on their way to doing that. And so, as we regain the goodwill, as people are getting back into CD Projekt Red in a positive way, we now look to the future of what the studio is going to be creating, because it's going to be a lot of content. They have announced 5 games are on the way, some of which are developed internally, some of which are going to be developed in partnership with third parties. And those include Codename Orion, Codename Polaris, Codename Canis Majoris, Codename Sirius, and Codename Hadar. Let's get into these games. First off, Orion is a codename for our next Cyberpunk game, which will take the Cyberpunk franchise further and continue harnessing the potential of this dark universe, or I should say this dark future universe. Orion will be developed by a brand new CD Projekt studio that is set up in the US that is on its way to being established, so this one is further out than you might want. Polaris is a codename for the next installment in the Witcher series of games, which we recently announced was in pre-production. It is the beginning of a new saga. We aim to release 2 more Witcher games after Polaris, creating a new AAA RPG trilogy. The full trilogy is intended to be released in a 6-year period. Canis Majoris is a full-fledged Witcher game separate to the new Witcher saga, starting with Polaris. It will be developed by an external studio headed by experienced developers who have worked on past Witcher games. Then you have codename Sirius, a codename for the game developed by the Molasses Flood set in the Witcher universe and created with support from CDPR. It will differ from our past productions, offering multiplayer gameplay on top of a single-player experience, including a campaign with quest and a story. And finally, codename Hadar, a codename for a third entirely distinct IP created from scratch within CD Projekt Red. The project is in its earliest stages of the creative process, which means we are not developing any game yet, but working exclusively on the foundation for this new setting. There you have it. That is what is coming from CD Projekt Red. I hope that this goes well, and I think that after the launch of Cyberpunk 2077, a lot of lessons had to be learned by CD Projekt Red when it comes to preparing a game for its release, when it comes to taking the time that you need to ensure the game is good. That is a very important step that I think may have been missed with Cyberpunk 2077, and of course, reports have come out with QA testers potentially having overlooked some of the glaring issues with the game itself, or maybe even to some degree, sabotaging the game, if you want to throw that word around. But no matter who is to blame for Cyberpunk, lessons needed to be learned from that launch. And so now you have 5 games laid out definitively, with an additional 2 in this new Witcher trilogy that are coming later down the line. And over the next 6 years or so, at least starting with the launch of the next Witcher game, you are going to see a lot of content coming out of CD Projekt Red that is developed, as I said, internally and by third parties. There needs to be a level of quality and a level of expectation placed across everybody working on these IP, because The Witcher is still legendary and Cyberpunk has grown and improved to the point that it is also a generation-defining game whenever you play it well, and when it's played with the latest patches and the latest experiences. I think that it's a great RPG. And so as you plan for the next Cyberpunk, as you plan for the next series of Witcher games, make sure that they are hitting fans' expectations, because there is a huge potential here to catapult this into the next Skyrim, to make it a household name, to make it one of those things where even if you don't play games, you've heard of Cyberpunk, you've heard of The Witcher. And you could argue they're already there today, but to really ingrain those names into gaming culture, I think that is what the opportunity is here today. So excited to see what CD Projekt Red brings out. I'm excited to see how development progresses, and I love the transparency with an entire Twitter thread explaining what each of these projects are, explaining what's happening, with studio heads announcing they are moving to the United States to start work on a game. Keep people in the loop. Let fans know what's going on, because when you are transparent and when you do things well, the gaming community will cheer you on. And you'll always have people that are out there complaining about the speed of development. You'll always have people out there that are complaining in general. But if you ignore the small subset of haters and you listen to the fans that are actually cheering you on, that is what matters. And of course, that's easier said than done as I sit here in my armchair yelling at the TV. But needless to say, I'm excited to see what they come up with, so I hope you are as well. And we'll stay tuned over the course of the next few years. Should be some exciting news on the way. Xbox has some big anniversaries to celebrate in the month of October, with 40 years of Microsoft Flight Simulator, 10 years of Forza Horizon, 25 years of Age of Empires, 25 years of Fallout, and 10 years of Dishonored. And along with each of these franchises comes some great celebrations in the Xbox Store, in-game, A lot of stuff to dig into here. So first and foremost, today, October the 10th, is the 25th anniversary of Fallout 1 that launched all the way back in 1997, the year that I was born. So for you old heads listening to this podcast, sorry for making you feel old. But over the last weekend, we saw a Fallout 76 free-to-play weekend. Then we saw the Fallout 25th franchise anniversary sale begin on the Xbox Store, and a faction quiz is out there to let you know where you belong in the wasteland. But today, to celebrate the 25th anniversary of Fallout 1, there is a social shorts retrospectives that celebrate 25 years of Fallout on social media platforms, and the Fallout 25th Spotify playlist, which launched today once again. Then on October the 11th, Fallout Shelter is celebrating the 25th anniversary with new content with quests and dwellers and more. On the 18th, our friends at Vault-Tec have a Fallout-inspired controller for Design Lab if you're looking for a new controller to pick up, and Spooky Scorched returns to Appalachia until November the 8th, starting on October the 25th in Fallout 76. Then, to celebrate the Forza Horizon 10th anniversary, on October the 6th, there was a Forza live stream celebrating the anniversary. On October the 11th, you can download the Forza Horizon 5 Horizon 10th Anniversary Update on Xbox, Windows, and Steam to experience the Horizon origin story, the return of fan-favorite music, and the Midnight Battles mode, along with much, much more. I'll also note that along with this Forza Horizon 5 update, there are some new achievements coming your way. Getting new achievements in the game, including Welcome to Mexico 2.0, Smash Happy, Blast from the Past, Memory Lane, I'll Just Take This Now, Nighthawk Made in Mexico, and VUHL. So you can go in, earn some more achievements, and experience 4 weeks of new content coming to Forza Horizon to celebrate the 10th anniversary. Additionally, you can also look out for some unmissable discounts on the Microsoft Store from the October the 11th, or I should say just October 11th, and on Steam from October 13th until October 24th, including 67% off Forza Horizon 4 and 30% off Forza Horizon 5. I'll note both of those are included on Xbox Game Pass. And then on October the 13th, the festival playlist serves up 4 weeks of anniversary-themed events, challenges, and rewards, with each celebrating a previous entry in the Forza Horizon series. Dishonored is also celebrating its 10th anniversary. On October the 7th, there was a deep dive on the Major Nelson podcast talking about new details on Dishonored and Deathloop from Harvey Smith and Dinga Bakaba. On October the 9th, you can download the new Celebration Art wallpaper along with a Microsoft Rewards punch card. If you missed that, not sure if that is still available. But all of the good stuff really starts on October the 18th with a new Inspired by Dishonored controller from Xbox Design Lab. Once again, if you're in the mood for a new controller. And then on October the 20th, there is a live stream featuring gameplay, giveaways, and all of the best memories from Dunwall celebrating the anniversary of Dishonored. Finally, on October the 21st, you can complete your game library during the Arcane Studios sale, which I am sure is going to dish up some pretty good deals. And then Age of Empires is celebrating its 25th anniversary on October the 25th, where you can tune into the anniversary broadcast at 10 a.m. Pacific time on twitch.tv/Xbox, ageofempires.com, or the Age of Empires YouTube channel for special announcements, interviews with the team, and some fun surprises. You can also play the all-new Age of Empires 4 Anniversary Edition on Steam, Game Pass for PC, and the Microsoft Store, featuring 2 new civilizations, the Ottomans and the Malayans, as well as 8 new maps, 2 new biomes, new taunts, cheats, as well as a new ranked season. And of course, existing owners get the upgrade to the Anniversary Edition for free. And 1 year on from launch, there has never been a better time to get started and come back to see what is new, or push forward your play in new ways. Finally, the last anniversary. Microsoft Flight Simulator is turning 40, and on November the 11th, Microsoft Flight Simulator 40th Anniversary Edition launches as a free update and will feature for the first time since 2006 helicopters and gliders, the most requested enhancements by the community. This edition also includes a true-to-life airliner, the sophisticated Airbus A321, where nearly every single button works just as expected. We are celebrating the history of aviation with the introduction of 7 famous historical aircraft to the Microsoft Flight Simulator 40th Anniversary Edition. Tons of stuff to dig into there if you want to check it out on the Xbox Wire. And the update also includes 4 classic airports, including Meeks Field in Chicago, a traditional starting point for the Microsoft Flight Simulator franchise. So there you have it. That's everything going on in the month of October in terms of celebrations, anniversaries, a lot to dive into there. Personally, out of all of these, I'll probably check out a bit of the Dishonored stuff. I do want to go back and check out Dishonored 2. I never got around to that. Deathloop lost me. Not playing Deathloop anymore. Did not really click with me, but Dishonored did. So I think I'm going to check out 2. And of course, Forza Horizon. I love to kick it back and cruise through the streets of Mexico, so to be able to go back and experience some memories from those previous Forza games will always be a welcome addition to my gaming lineup for the month. No matter what you're into, though, if you're into these franchises, something cool is coming your way, so stay tuned. Again, you can check it out all on the Xbox Wire right now. Finally, we have an update on the Xbox Series X mini fridge. If you don't know the mini fridge lore, whenever it was announced, people started making fun of it because it looked like a mini fridge. Then Team Xbox said, hey, why don't we do Xbox and chill, make this thing into a mini fridge and sell it, and lo and behold, they did. They sold it at Target, Best Buy, a couple of other places around the world, but unfortunately, the $100 mini fridge did not run that well. People said that a few months after they started using it, it ended up failing them, it ended up crashing out on them. However you want to describe it, it was not a quality product, and they said that it never even really got that cold. So they have improved that model, still not the best mini fridge, but as a novelty item, it's been generally accepted by the community. Now, there is a cheaper and smaller version of the Xbox Series X mini fridge. Aaron Greenberg quotes Brad Sams, who is a great resource for Microsoft and Xbox news over on Twitter, writing, impressively, at BD Sams has already posted an in-depth YouTube video on the new small Xbox Series X mini fridge. Full tech detailed breakdown and comparisons between both models in production filled with all the facts, some design and noise improvements as well. To note, there are some big noise complaints with the original model, so it sounds like that has all been fixed. Now, whenever I saw this, I started kind of keeping track of it to see what the price was going to be and to see if this is something that would actually be able to compete in the marketplace. And so right now, you can pick up an Xbox Series X replica mini 8-can fridge with the thermoelectric cooler for $55 from Walmart. That is in comparison to the MSRP of this new model of $79, which is, again, in comparison to the $99 in the original model from Target. It is sitting at 38 reviews, 4.3 stars, and I think in general, a lot of people are just commenting on how cool the decor is. So, will we pick this up? TBD. I really want to get one, but I can't warrant a mini fridge whenever I have a full fridge literally in the other room that keeps my stuff perfectly cold. But for $55, very, very tempting. So let me know down below, are you interested in picking up the new model of the Xbox Series X mini fridge, or are you going to stick to your Frigidaire like the majority of people more than likely will? But that wraps up this week's episode of Xhibition, an Xbox podcast. If you enjoy the show, you like what you see or what you hear, hit that subscribe button on YouTube, add the show to your podcast feed of choice, and get it delivered right to you, normally each and every Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. This past weekend, I was on a quick little mountain getaway, so I did not have time to cut a podcast when I got back home, but hey, here it is on Monday to kick off your week. So I hope you enjoy the show. If you did, let me know down below, and until next time, keep on playing.